Good evening. It is 6 p.m. and we'll call to order the regular Town of Florence Planning and Zoning Commission meeting being held on Thursday, March 20th. First order of business is roll call. Maricel, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Woolley. Present. Commissioner Lehman.
Present.
Commissioner Prue.
Present.
Vice Chair DeRosa.
Here.
Chairman Frost.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, and we acknowledge that our Vice Mayor, who is our liaison for the council, is here, Ms. Adam, and we have our town attorney here with us this evening and our town manager. We appreciate their attendance as well. If you'd all please stand, our Pledge of Allegiance this evening is going to be led by Commissioner Lehman.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next order of business is call to the public, and I'll make a little bit of a clarification on call to the public. We held a public hearing on agenda item 6A at our last meeting, and so that public hearing was held and closed, so we're not holding a public hearing today, but if you wish to speak to that item, you can do this in the call to the public, which is going to be happening right now. Let me read you the background on that. Call to the public for public comment on issues within the jurisdiction of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Individual commission members may respond to criticisms made, may ask staff to review a matter raised, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the commission shall not discuss or take action on any matter during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. And with that is, Maricela, did you have something?
Yes, we do have one person who put in for call to public, but you can just keep going.
Okay. So we'll first ask anyone who's here that would like to address us to please do that. You'll have 3 minutes. And then we'll go to anyone who's online who would like to address us. So with that, does anyone like to speak to the commission this evening? And if you would, when you please come up, please state your name so that we have that for the record.
Yeah, my name is Bob Dewberry. I'm Florence, Arizona. I live in Anthem. I apologize, I'm a little ignorant to what's going on here. I just want to put in my 2 cents. As I understand it, this is a property across the street annexed on the east side or north side of Felix, put in 3,500 homes to have use of the facilities at Sun City Anthem and Merrill Ranch. I'm trying to confirm that that's accurate. And if you guys are the guys that make that decision, I'm totally against it. I don't care how many houses they build as long as they don't get access to our facility. Our facility is already overcrowded. I don't have any questions unless I get to question Pulte. I thought this was going to be at our Union Center. So my question is there any statute in the state that allows, as far as fire department and fire control, the number of people that have access to our facility? I.e., if 3,500 more homes are built, roughly 7,000 people, and our facility is already overcrowded. Okay, so my 2 cents is this. I'd prefer this not happen until some kind of environmental impact, emotional stress to me impact, those kind of things are just not right. So that's my 2 cents, and I apologize for not being as informed as I was. Just found about this yesterday. So I am absolutely against it. My last 2 cents, if it gets approved, you can bet I'm not going to vote for any of you guys. End of story.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, members of the Pulte delegation, and esteemed members of the audience, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Kathy Prince, and I've been a resident of Sun City Anthem at Merrill Ranch since 2009. During last month's planning and zoning meeting, many questions were raised to Pulte, but unfortunately, solid answers were not provided. As a result, I was eager to see Pulte's response after having a month to address those concerns. After reviewing the response in the packet, I must say I was disappointed but not surprised. Found that Pulte had no new information. The perception that the company prioritizes profit over the quality of life for current residents seems stronger than ever. Anyone who travels or lives in this area has experienced firsthand the lack of adequate road infrastructure. Now Pulte wants to add homes east of Felix, which will only increase those traffic volumes, and yet the proposed road improvements, including lanes and traffic lights, aren't planned until the first home sells, which is estimated around 2030. This delay is simply unacceptable. Additionally, I would like to ask that the Planning and Zoning Committee require that turn lanes that will be installed are installed at an angle, not straight on. This adjustment will help improve visibility for drivers in the turn lanes, which straight-on lanes make it more difficult to see the traffic. There are also ongoing concerns about the lack of sufficient amenities. We at Anthem have been told for years that Pulte's reviewing the current amenities, and Pulte executives have been to the site, toured the facilities to see what we have firsthand. However, one place in the written response states the amenities have already been determined, while another states that Pulte's waiting on survey results. Meanwhile, our residents struggle to get tea times, they struggle to book seats for popular events like trivia, or reserve amenities such as swim lanes and sports courts. Yet the proposal includes no new amenities beyond park and greenbelt areas. When asked why Pulte is pursuing this new development expansion, the response has been that there's only 300 lots left at Parkside. However, Parkside has not even reached the 50% sold out target yet, which suggests there's more than 2,000 homes still to be built there. This raises the question to me, what is really going on here? I hope that by the end of today's meeting, we will hear thoughtful, forward-thinking solutions for the future of Anthem. Frankly, I'm tired of being treated as though my concerns don't matter. I'm tired of being Cindy Lou Who, giving a pat on the head and being told, we deserve more than that.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Now, we do have two. We have two that were sent in via email. One from Diana, excuse me with my pronunciation, Zissus, and Joanne Svedeman, and Ronnie Halverson, talking about concerns that they have, and so these will be included as well. And similar to the concerns that were brought up this evening about amenities and things of that nature that they're concerned about.
Mr. Chairman, would you mind reading them into the record so that we have that on the record?
We can definitely do that. We wish, and this is from Diana Zissus, we wish we could attend Thursday's meeting, but we cannot. Please incorporate our comments into other emails you receive. We bought our home here in Anthem in 2008. We relied heavily on the good Del Webb name because of the reputation of making seniors' lives wonderful by building beautiful communities. Since Pulte bought out that name, things have changed. It appears that Pulte's motivation is solely to build many homes, and the welfare of its citizens has moved way down in importance. And Anthem in Florence has recently taken a back seat. Currently, Anthem Festival has been provided 9 more holes of golf, an additional Union Center, and more pickleball courts. A decade ago, Sun City Grand has 9,500 homes and 4 golf courses were provided. What are we being given by Pulte? 3,700 additional homes with 0 in additional amenities. Folks are actually moving out of the neighborhood already because the golf course is difficult to access and activities are difficult to book. Building here in Anthem and across Hunt Highway is going quickly. I know that we cannot change the culture of Pulte, but please don't encourage the 3,700 new builds, which will crowd us out even more. We feel we have had a bait and switch deal. No more Del Webb. Second letter is from Joni Svedeman. I understand the Florence Planning and Zoning Committee meets this Thursday, May 20th at 6 p.m. Pulte is scheduled to attend to discuss their proposed development on the east side of Felix. Currently, they are looking at around 3,700 more homes, but no new amenities, including golf, are planned. This is an issue that many of the Anthem community are not happy about. Pulte continues to market Anthem with the many amenities available, including golf. With so many homes already approved and more potential golfers moving into the community, having only one golf course is going to become a major problem for this community. As it is, many golfing groups are having a hard time getting tee times, especially with the implementation of the lottery system, which is a disaster. I would like to express my concern with Pulte's request, especially if they are not going to install new amenities and especially another golf course to adjust with the increase in the population, should the Planning and Zoning Committee approve their request. Okay, and then the third letter is from Ronnie Halverson. I live in Sun City, Anthem, Merrill Ranch, and have been a resident since July 2020. I'm very concerned about Pulte possibly adding 3,700 more homes, or many more homes, to the development without adding any additional amenities. Residents already have a difficult time getting tee times to play golf, and the pickleball courts are overcrowded. We already need additional pickleball courts, and it is my understanding that Pulte has no intention of adding any. It is not right for the residences to suffer from the impact of adding more homes and traffic to the area without adding additional amenities to support the increase. I'm also concerned with the safety, noise, and volume of truck traffic on Felix and the possible widening of Felix Road. The speeds at which trucks and autos travel is excessive and dangerous, not to mention the noise level. Please reduce the speed limit back to 35 miles per hour and make it a truck-restricted route. My hope is that you consider all these factors and make positive decisions that will be in the best interest of the residents and not just to put more money in the builders' pockets. And those were the three that we received via email. Why don't you come up and give us your name and
Okay. My name is Mike Ames. I'm a resident of Sun City Anthem and have been for 8 years. There's only been one direction the development has gone through that time. It's been down. I'm primarily a golfer. It's been going down to get tee times, as well as all the amenities, fighting your way into the workout area in the clubhouse, fighting your way into the concerts, fighting your way into everything that they do offer. And there is quite an array that is offered. That's been great. But unless you're right 30 minutes ahead of sign-up time, you're out of luck. And we've been out of luck so many times. And it's just not fair. Now, what you've heard and what you've read is all true. But what I'm going to ask is, how many times do you have to hear it before you believe it? So there are so many areas, Saddlebrook, and even down at Robeson Ranch in Casa Grande, that we take second and third and fourth place to in any category you'd like to mention. Now, there have been a lot of very valid concerns raised here, but basically quality of life is what my wife Nancy and I came here for. And it's not been improved, and we don't hear anything from Pulte. The HOA meetings are rather entertaining because valid concerns are raised, and Pulte's typical response is, okay, we'll take it under advisement. Oh, we'll study that. We're looking at that. You know, but basically what it is BS. And everybody I ask, typically, hey, are you going to go to the HOA meeting? You know, are you going to participate? Are you going to come to meetings like this? They go, why? Pulte is going to do exactly what they want to do. So, you know, I don't know if this is falling on deaf ears or not, but Ms. Prince made some great eloquent points. If you just take and read in writing what she said and consider each sentence, that really is the feeling throughout the community. She did a great job of summarizing, where we're at. And so if we had an easy exit plan to move out, which isn't easy, I think we'd take it. Because we've been to some of these other places, and they're really great. And to look at our Union Center and compare it to other places and how things roll along. And yeah, we goof around with pickleball a little bit, but there are some serious pickleball players. And there were some serious people in it, though, the workout center, and they're getting short shrift. And it's just kind of too bad.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. And we have several online this evening. If you would like to speak, would you please raise your hand digitally so we know? Maricela, do you see anything different than I do? I don't see anyone's hands raised.
No.
Okay, no one online has their hand raised to speak to us. And is there anyone else who would like to speak? Please. I mean, this is your opportunity. I don't want to shortchange you.
I just, I can understand.
Please give us your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Doug Lowe. We live over here in Anthem Sun City too. So I can understand the city's need for property taxes and revenue and to grow. And, it's very important. It really is. And, I don't think we're trying to shut down growth. We're just asking Pulte to do their part. And if they want to, expand and make all kinds of money, then why don't they give us what we need? More infrastructure. We went to the pool the other day, right? It wasn't even a very warm day, and there was not a single chair around the pool. There's 300 members of the pickleball club now, and if that doubles, you'll never play pickleball. And my buddies here are, want to try and play golf. They can't get tee times. And so anyway, I just think it's, it needs to be both sides. Pulte needs to contribute towards the infrastructure. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Please.
Good evening. My name's Tom Minder. I also live in Sun City, Anthem. I just want to echo the comments about the facilities. I've been here going on 3 years, and just in that short period of time, the availability of the amenities has gone way down. It's very difficult to get in. My other primary concern is Felix Road itself. In that time, it's become very dangerous. The amount of truck traffic, heavy laden trucks going down that road that are fast. And I look at the plan, how on earth are these people going to cross that road safely? How are they going to get access to the amenities even if they expand them? It's a major concern. And you look at the road itself, the road is deteriorating at a very fast rate. There's big ruts in the road from those trucks. In addition, it seems to be a commonplace for youth or those that want to exercise their sports vehicles or motorcycles through that area. Just drag racing from Merrill Ranch all the way to the railroad track. I can't imagine the addition of 3,700 more doors to that road and what impact that's going to have to that road. So I understand the need for expansion, like has been mentioned here. I think expansion's good. Growth is good. We love the town of Florence. We came down here to support my in-laws who are 96 and 89. They've been here since 85. I started coming down in 91. Love the growth, but it has to be planned. It has to be done smartly. Adding that many people, those many doors, that's just a number of doors. It's twice that if you consider occupants and the strain that would have on the facilities and the infrastructure. I just don't think the current plan as proposed by Pulte addresses those concerns. And I've been to the town halls with them, I've expressed my concern, and you do. The common answer is we're evaluating it. We're going to come up with a plan. Or the response is, well, that's the decision the board made. There's no explanation of the decision or why or the circumstances or what considerations were made. It was just, this is what we decided to do. So I'm concerned. I love this community. We chose to move down here and retire here full-time. We're not part-timers, we're full-timers. We love the community. I don't want to leave the community, but I'm concerned about that level of growth without expansion of proper infrastructure to support the growth and to be safe on those roads. They call for bike lanes. No one in their right mind should bike on that road with those trucks coming by, as heavy as they are. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this forum, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to us this evening? Please.
Yeah, my name is Bob Shelby. I live in Sun City Anthem. I don't want to defend Pulte, but for 2 or 3 years I served on the Design Review Committee in Sun City. While there, I made the acquaintance of a gentleman by the name of Scott Turner, who was a vice president of Pulte. At that time, he told me Pulte never had any intention of increasing the facilities, the Union Center that we have, or the golf course. But we were also told 10,000 homes maximum. I'm sorry, what the hell, pardon my French, is Pulte thinking putting another 3,700 homes in without increasing any facilities? It's hard enough to get a golf tee time. It's hard enough to get into the gym. Are we going to turn into Sun Lakes where you got to book a tee time or a time to go to the gym? I'm sorry. This is unacceptable. I think the council, you gentlemen and ladies, you should deny Pulte the right to build any more new homes unless they increase the facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, and does anyone else want to speak to us? I mean, I kind of understand the sentiment because I see hands being clapped out there by the majority of the people that are here, so. Last chance. I know you traveled at least 15 minutes to get here, so I didn't want to shortchange you, so. Okay, well, at this point in time, we will close the call to the public. And I think I'm not out of line, but Cliff, if I stray off, because I know that if something's on the agenda that we can actually speak to it to answer questions that were raised. So a couple of things just to note for you. I too live in that community, been there 9 years. And a couple of things to consider, the 16 acres that is right south of the soccer fields, that's open dirt, that is for expansion of amenities. Hopefully, in the last couple of weeks, I know I got one, hopefully you got one too, I got mine via email, was the survey that was being put out by the community saying, what do you want? If you haven't responded to it, find a way to respond to it. That's how you get your thoughts heard. Because that survey has supposedly gone out to every home in the development so that they can find out. Like, I see a lot of heads shaking. Well, go down and tell them that you didn't get one so you make sure your thoughts are being heard about pickleball and swim lanes and things like that. And for those of you that haven't been down there, there's no reason you should. The Somerville community, which is on the south side of Independence, on the west side of Felix, along the south side of it is currently a path that is decomposed granite. If you follow that path to Felix, you will see the first section of an underpass. It's boarded over because it was being graffitied. But there will be an underpass built there and a continuation of that major east-west path, concrete, that will go through that underpass to the other side to help facilitate east-west traffic through there so you don't have to be part of the Felix traffic. So That was one of the questions that came up, a couple of questions, so I thought I would just throw those out so that you know. And especially with the survey, I'm saddened to see that a lot of you are shaking no that you didn't get it. So please go down there and make sure that you'll get to respond to that survey so that your thoughts can be heard. And spread the word too, because if you're saying no, probably some of your friends didn't get it as well. So make sure everybody's thoughts are being heard on that. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'm looking forward to Mari's update and Pulte's update to some of the issues.
We're going there right now. With that, since we don't have minutes to respond to from the March 6th meeting, we'll go to business item 6A, which is a presentation / approval with conditions or denial of a preliminary plat for the planned unit development known as Anthem at Merrill Ranch. Located east of Felix Road and north of Hunt Highway, this is PZ-24-37. This is a continuation from the February 25th, 2025 meeting. Staff report.
So I have a similar presentation to last week. The applicants have something different, but would you like to go over that short presentation that staff has again, or do we just want to skip that and then I just kind of give some updates that we have and then let the applicant give their presentation?
I think it would be beneficial just to make sure that everyone in the room is kind of on the same page and I'll have the same numbers. That maybe a presentation just to flesh those things out would be great. A lot of people took time to be here. Let's make sure everyone is well educated.
Okay. Planning and Zoning Commission, Commissioners, Vice Chair, Chairman. Tonight we have a preliminary plat for the Anthem at Merrill Ranch east of Felix. We have a photo here showing where that preliminary plat is in Florence. So to give some background on this preliminary plat, the Anthem at Merrill Ranch east of Felix preliminary plat is a residential development that's continuing from the west side, and it approximately covers one of the corrections I want is it's not 983 acres, it's actually 943 acres. So that's one correction I want to make to this. 943 acres will be what this is covering. The site is currently undeveloped minus the APS substation there, and the property falls under the Anthem at Merrill Ranch Planned Unit Development, or PUD, which was a zoning that was put in place in 2005, and then the PUD document was updated in 2008. And the point of that was to allow flexibility in residential unit allocation and development. This part of the Anthem at Merrill Ranch community aims to continue that single-family residential subdivision, and it is only for the west side, it's only for the east side of Felix Road. The plat proposes 3,137 lots, and that varies in size between 4,600 and 7,200 square feet. And this will occur over several phases and not all at once. The town of Florence has a process in which we have to take these preliminary plats. First, once it is submitted, it goes through a review process with staff. One of those steps is to be revised or reviewed by the Technical Advisory Committee, which is made up directors of different departments here in the town of Florence. That meeting was held on November 20th, 2024 to review this application. Some items that were discussed were lot dimensions being omitted from some pages, which was corrected in the preliminary plat that is in the packet tonight. The available amenities and possible concerns regarding them was something that was brought up, and then there was comments from the Florence Fire Department to address secondary access concerns as the site developed. Fire worked extensively with Pulte in order to make sure there was at least 2 points of access, no matter which phase the plat was in or during development. From there, it would move to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which it did on February 20th, where it had its public hearing. That was open and closed. And at that meeting, the commission decided to continue the item after 30 days. And today, we are back. This is a planned unit development document, has this going to commission only for review and action. This does not move on to town council. Now, some updates that we have. Let me guess. Some updates we do have to the packet were the acreage, which I spoke to, it's 943 acres. The lots is, the number of lots is 3,137 lots that are planned to go there. Last meeting, Pulte did talk or have a point on the transfer, and that wasn't something that was going to happen. That was kind of a mistake on their part, and it was very confusing. They're just assuming that lots are being moved, but that's not what it was. There was a point on page 8, item 20, that talked about the material paths and what contour. That was kind of a combination of two questions that was asked. One was what was the paving of the underpass going to be, and that was going to be concrete. And then there was a secondary question asked about how the trails were going to be paved, and that was with the decomposed granite. So number 20 ended up being a combination of those two, but that kind of sorts out that question. And then on page 11 of the staff report, we added an addition of things. And on page 11, I did reference page 39 for when it came to schools, parks, community centers, and utility zone. It's actually page 38 where those references are coming. So I want to make sure that that's clarified. There were some answers pending in the chart that was within the packet that you all received in the staff report. Item 13, there was an answer pending. And so page 38 on the PUD, table I-1, in the PUD and school agreement, sunset date has expired for that, and the underlying R1 zoning remains. So because the school agreement has that sunset date, it can revert back to residential homes. In item number 46, there was a question raised. What is the density of the development? The entire community, including what is proposed, is 2.82, is what I got. So that was item 40, oh, that's 46, that's 45. Will the home prices be lower due to smaller size? And this is not a question that applies to preliminary plats. Prices aren't decided at the preliminary plat stage. And then for item 47, the question was, who else will be using the wastewater system that will be there? And so it is currently being sized for landowners participating in the design and construction, allowing for future expansions, and then future expansions will be determined by the town and future growth. Those are the answers that we have received from Pulte on those pending sections in that chart. With that, I will now ask the applicant to come up and give their presentation.
Thank you, Marty.
Good evening. Joshua Robinson, Colliers Engineering and Design, formerly known as Hilgart Wilson. To my left, we have Todd Nape, Eleni Tuttle. I'm missing that one. Jeff Luke, part of the Pulte team, And then we have Jared Baxter, the civil engineer west of Felix, and then Ryan Wilt, the landscape architect for the project. Chairman, Vice Chair, Commissioners, thank you again for having us tonight. I just wanted to thank you again for the opportunity to present these additional exhibits that we have in front of you tonight. I wanted to start with something that I don't think we made abundantly clear the last go-around, and really I think the next two exhibits speak to that. What you see on the screen here today is the original PUD that was approved back in 2008, and it speaks to okay. You see arrows. Can I zoom in like that? There we go. Now we can see it. Sorry about that. So really this table here speaks to it's actually a table that's been pulled from the PUD, and it speaks to the overall gross acreage, and the PUD shows that it's not just the area east of Felix Road that we're presenting tonight, but it's actually a greater area. It's about just under 3,200 acres. And per the PUD that was approved in 2008, you can see here that the overall density, average dwelling units per acre is 3.5, with a total number of lots of just over 11,000. If we fast forward to today and focus on the proposed development east of Felix Road, you'll see that we're proposing 3,137 units. To date, west of Felix Road, we have 5,850. That totals up to 8,987 total units within the community versus the 11,172. That's a difference of about 20% and gives us a total density of about 2.82 dwellings per acre. There was also a question about how many units were left to sell. I figured we'd touch on that right here. So total single-family units left west of Felix is about 328. And then the active adult, we're looking at just over 1,000. Jumping back to the area east of Felix Road, we wanted to highlight the lotting of this community again. And we pride ourselves in that each of these lot conditions do not have a single rear-to-rear condition, where we have multiple paseos that you can see here in the upper left-hand corner that range anywhere from 30 to 50 feet wide, with varying DG and concrete paths. Again, each rear lot condition does not back to another single-family home. In addition to that, we wanted to pull the old PUD exhibit. It's existing on the right, proposed on the left, and highlight let's see if you guys can see it, highlight the proposed acreage versus what was existing in the PUD. What's proposed today is just over 233 acres. The existing is, can I? Oh, there it is. 221 acres. But really the focal point of this exhibit too is to focus in on the acreage of parks, where east of Felix you have just under 10 acres of parks distributed in the proposed version, versus the existing PUD was only 2.35 acres. What that allows us to do for the open space too is to also provide a landscape buffer directly adjacent to Felix Road, providing for additional planting that you can see here in the upper right-hand corners of this exhibit throughout each of the cross sections. Last month, we touched on some of these signals throughout, and we wanted to provide some additional clarification on the signals and the timing of said signals. So there are a total of 3 signals on Felix Road that are being proposed, 2 of which are highlighted in this blue outline. One at Merrill Ranch Parkway and Felix at the intersection, another one at Felix Road, and what is referred to as collector number 2 in the traffic study. Both of those signals are warranted with Phase 1 development and will both be installed by Pulte with the Phase 1 development. Those signals will offer, also act as a traffic calming in a way. We heard earlier this evening about the speeding that occurs down Felix Road. Also, they provide a safety component to it as well with crosswalks. The underpass that Chairman Frost referred to earlier is located right here where this black arrow is referenced, and so that underpass will also be continued with this Phase 1 development. There's another signal that is warranted per the traffic study with Phase 1 development. However, this signal at Hunt Highway and Felix Road would be installed by others. The town currently owns the right-of-way of Felix Road, and the adjacent properties surrounding this area are not owned by Pulte. The last signal that you see here on the screen is one that's more internal to the community. It's referred to at the intersection of collector number 1 and Merrill Ranch Parkway. This is a signal that will need to be studied at a later date. There's a horizon year within the traffic study of 2040, and then there's a mid-year of 2034. The traffic report speaks to that signal being warranted or at least reviewed again in 2034 and 2040 or 2040 to see if it's warranted or not. The roadway improvements of Felix Road, Pulte's responsibility is the direct adjacent roadway improvements within Felix Road. I'll zoom up to this cross section here. And so you can see there's a 16-foot median, and there are actually 3 lanes of travel. There are turn lanes incorporated at each of the intersections, dedicated rights and dedicated lefts. There are landscape buffers on both sides and varying sidewalk widths. I believe it is a minimum of an 8-foot sidewalk width on the west side and a 10-foot on the east side. But with that said, the improvements that Pulte is responsible for stop at Copper Basin Railway. The continuation of that will have to be part of further discussions that the town is currently having with Copper Basin Rail and the developers to the north. If we head south, there are additional landowners here in the southwest corner of this quadrant. The continuation of building out Felix Road in this area will be the responsibility of these residents as well as working with the town on these improvements. Where's that button? Lastly, I wanted to finish with discussing the overall community as it relates to the proposed water campus and the water reclamation facility. The water campus is shown here with the blue asterisk just east of Copper Basin Rail. And the water treatment facility or the water reclamation facility is located south of Hunt Highway with the green star. Both these facilities come with a significant cost, tens of millions of dollars. With these incurred costs, in addition to the miles of transmission mains and infrastructure that consist within this area, knowing that, or assurance that there are enough lots to support these type of facilities is pertinent to this overall project. In reading the PUD on page 3, it also speaks to this development the entire area was actually supposed to be built out by 2022. That's obviously come and gone. Due to market conditions, town of Florence growth, as well as lack of water resources in this area, everything got put on hold. Fast forward to 2025, Pulte is working with another team as well and taking lead on both of these facilities, these very expensive facilities for the potential growth in this area. With that, I will pause and answer any questions you may have, or Todd, if you want to add on to it. All right. That's it. Open it up for
Okay.
questions.
Joshua, I appreciate that. Commission members, questions?
Oh, let's continue with the presentation unless there's some questions.
Is there more presentation to come?
There's not. That concludes the presentation for East of Felix.
Okay. Mr. Will, please.
3 questions.
Okay,
That's it.
please.
All right, I just have 3 questions, 2 for Pulte and 1 for, first one, if we can go back to the one that had the streetlights on it.
Oh, yes.
So you are saying that phase 1 is when we're going to do the streetlights, and then you talked about the upgrades to the road that is your responsibility, but you didn't say when.
Oh.
Is that also before phase 1, after phase 1, into phase 5?
They will be concurrent with phase 1 development.
Thank you for that. All right, next question for you is, I know you can't give me an exact by date, but can you give me a ballpark timeline of when you expect the first house to drop and what you guys are projecting as build out?
I'll turn to Pulte for that.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Todd Nape with Pulte Homes here. Thank you for the opportunity, Chairman, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Appreciate your time and patience tonight. So, the anticipated timing right now for Phase 1 is the goal is to start the infrastructure work that was described earlier for the water, wastewater early next year, along with the earthwork on the east side of this project. So development is scheduled to start in 2026. Now phase 1, when these improvements would be completed, phase 1 encompasses approximately 600 home sites. So it's really the velocities of sales and development would drive the answer to your question is when is that, right? So it's at the completion of phase 1 development is when Felix Road, the lights, the signals that were shown here would have to be completed.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just going to clarify here. Okay. So you're anticipating the first, hopefully, house will be in 2026?
Okay, no, sorry. That's 2026, we're going to start this adventure, right? Okay. It's will be a 2028 at the earliest.
2028.
Yeah, for that infrastructure to be built and to support new homes.
And I know Pulte in their mind, somewhere along the line, has a projection of when east of Felix will be built out completely.
Correct, fair question. And as was described earlier, we were thinking we would be long past that at this point. But yeah, with general sales that we all know what those are per month, this right now is currently projected to be out to 2040.
2040, okay. All right, then my last question is actually for staff. Do you want it, AJ, or? Okay, I'll just ask it and you guys can jump in. So, do we have a time, I know we've been through meetings and I know we've had updates, but do we have a timeline of the start and the finish of when we'll see roads such as Anthem, Hunt Highway, and your portion of Felix be ready for this growth? Do we have a timeline?
The project, the town-sponsored project of Hunt and Attaway is in design right now. We're at 60%. We're in the process of starting land acquisition That project is scheduled to start third quarter of 2025. So that would be the project from Campanella through the intersection of Hunt and Attaway. The Pulte will be building a small section of that, extending that improvement about 600 feet further east of where the town of Florence's project ends. In terms of the Felix Road south of this development, as the gentleman mentioned during their presentation, that is owned by other parties, not here this afternoon. I cannot speak to what their schedule is for the build-out of Felix south of Pulte's boundary with the Felix Road right-of-way down to the intersection of Felix and Hunt Highway. Did that answer it, or you may have had one more road in there, Commissioner?
I'm worried about that Felix section is what I'm asking mostly about.
Yes, and I can't speak to that. That is another developer not here today, and I do not know what their plans to develop that are at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Can I do a follow-up, Jeff? AJ, the Attaway Hunt improvement, does that also include the curve up to the fire station?
Yes, sir. Just south of that intersection, as you know, the improvement on Hunt narrows down there, and we make that transition from the built-out Hunt Highway down to that two-lane rural section. But that project would extend from that location, sorting out the curve on Hunt through the intersection of Attaway and Hunt to approximately a quarter mile east of the Hunt and Attaway intersection.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
I have a couple minor questions for Pulte. I'm not sure which one will answer, but the lots for Sun City and Parkside east of Felix, which are not defined by amounts, I understand that, they will be members of the HOA, right?
Correct.
They'll be paying dues. Anything, well, Merrill Ranch Parkway is going to extend through here into El Dorado's properties. Will El Dorado be a member of any HOA connected with Anthem?
No, there will be a separate HOA.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. A question for Pulte. Thank you for the presentation this evening. The one thing, though, that I'd like to ask is with regard to what was expressed here this evening by the residents. You didn't speak to the amenities. Could you speak to that?
Chair, Lonnie?
Yes, town attorney has a comment.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to interject that, the purview here tonight is a preliminary plat. It's very limited in the scope of the commission's review, okay? The commission had training this week, and this is a ministerial act. Now, I understand that there are neighbors who have things they'd like to discuss with Pulte and how they manage the property, maybe, or issues related to the HOA, but those are not issues relevant to your decision. And in fact, you cannot take those into consideration when you make your decision because that's not consistent with the town code or the vested rights that the applicant has in the PUD that's been approved for many years. So I would just caution you not to get into HOA-related issues, many of which were brought up earlier.
Yeah. Point of order, sir.
Just, yeah. We want to keep it civil, so.
No, I have no questions. As Mr. Mattis explained, this is ministerial, unfortunately. Pulte has heard from your clients, because everybody in this room is your client. Hopefully you will have heard their surveys, you heard their voices, and they're all hoping that you'll do the right thing by all of us. This is...
Point of order, you cannot speak during...
There was a contract with Pulte, for the residents here to know, there's a contract with Pulte that began in 2005. It was amended in 2008. It has since been amended again, which vests rights to Pulte. It is a legal binding contract that we cannot change. It was something that was put in place, and it is up to this body to uphold the contract that the town made well over 20 years ago. Hopefully it's a lesson learned for all of us about the contracts that we get involved in that are going to last this long. However, we are where we are. And I just again say to Pulte, these are your clients in the room. They have friends, they have voices, they talk to people. Hopefully you've heard their concerns, and we'll take their concerns back to your leadership and do right by the residents that are here and by the residents that have purchased in the community for a better way of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of comments. One of them is a thanks. When we heard the presentation last time, it looked like that the thought was to phase construction of Felix, and I'm very, very thumbs up on the fact that you've agreed to build all of Felix at once so that our residents don't have to go in and out and doing a bunch of strange stuff like that. Thank you, thank you. That's much appreciated. As the Vice Chair said, we've had a very interesting education on vested rights as a Planning and Zoning Commission. We've learned that when the Town Council 20 years ago made this deal, they gave them legal vested rights. And so in a lot of ways our hands are tied, but we're going to move forward. We have to. So we appreciate the presentations. We appreciate all of you turning out here. And as I said earlier, please, please go in and express your thoughts on the amenities that you need. If you didn't get that, please go down to the community center and make sure that you have that opportunity. I live on Parkside, so that's the one that I would go to. But again, mine came in email, so yeah.
We also got it on Sun City side.
I did
So
get it.
you need to go to the Union Center, and they will give you a hand copy of it.
Yeah, just make sure and spread the word too, so that everybody gets their thoughts in on that, because that's really where you have your clout right now on amenities.
Mr. Chair, it's time to call for the question.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
Well, with all that I've heard tonight and the training we received recently, I believe that Pulte is holding all the requirements of Section 150 of the Town Code and those vested rights previous town councils have given to Pulte beginning in 2005. Therefore, I move that we approve the Anthem at Merrill Ranch, east of Felix Road, preliminary plat PZ 2437, with the town staff recommendations and the following recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Number 5, Felix Road shall be 4 lanes wide, parentheses, with appropriate turning lanes, close parentheses, and have no median. 6, that Felix Road be returned to 35 miles per hour by the town council. With the second, I'll be glad to give my reasons for these recommendations.
I'll second that motion.
Chair.
Yes, please. Hopefully you're going to speak up on this one.
I mean, the applicant, first of all, I don't believe the speed limit is 35 miles per hour, and if it changes, it has to be warranted by a traffic study and traffic engineering according to the MUTCD, which is our national standards. Additionally, I think one of the conditions, if I could hear it correctly, was to remove the median, which also has not been designed, and that would be contrary to the engineering design. So the preliminary plat, again, focuses on data, very specific engineering guidelines that the applicant has created consistent with our code. So quite frankly, I'm not an engineer, and I would welcome the applicant to jump in, but I don't think the 2 conditions based on removing the median and changing the speed limit are within the purview of what we're here to discuss for the preliminary plat. So I don't think those would be enforceable.
Okay, I respect the town attorney's opinion, but I have a duty as a member of this commission under Town Code Section 32-106. My duty says recommend to the council, because that's what we do. We don't make the final decision, the council makes that. Revisions in the plans that in the opinion of the commission
In this case,
are for
you
the
are
best interest of the citizens of the municipality. So here's the thing. Pulte's going to save money by not having to build 6
Point of
lanes.
order, we need to either rescind the motion on the floor and go back
Right,
into
there's
discussion.
been a motion and a second. You need to act on that motion or rescind the motion or rescind the condition or modify the conditions.
Can we have discussion on the
No,
motion?
there's a pending main motion.
You either have to rescind it and go back into discussion, or it has to be voted on.
Okay, I'll rescind the motion. You want to?
I'll rescind the second.
Okay, can we have discussion now?
Yes,
Okay.
on a pending,
Just a second.
Mr. Mattis, we can't hear you.
We can't
At least
hardly
I
hear you,
can't
Cliff.
hear you.
sorry, keep pushing the button. There should be a pending motion if you're going to discuss a motion, because there was a call to make the motion
I
by
made a
Vice Chair.
motion so we could have discussion, or,
Correct.
okay, so should I make the motion again?
You
So
can
we
make
have
the,
discussion?
you can't make the same motion. I mean, you can make it for approval, but as I said, two of the conditions I believe that were attached are unenforceable.
Commissioner Lehman,
Yeah.
the speed zone, the speed limit on Felix has nothing to do with Pulte. That's something that the town has to ask for a survey to be done, and it is up to the town who regulates the speed on that. So we can't do anything about that on Felix.
Here's
The other
the
thing
reason-
is,
excuse me, but here's a reason why I want to see it 35. Pulte is going to have to tell every resident east of Felix Road that they cannot drive their golf carts across Felix Road.
But, Mr. Chair,
That's
I'm
the
sorry to
process.
interrupt, but I mean, that's not something that's within the purview of the preliminary plat. The speed limit is not an issue before this body.
it's something we'll take up with the town.
Okay. Secondly, I'm just trying to help the town save money in perpetuity by not having to maintain 6 lanes, especially when the developments north of there, north of Copper Basin Road, for the next 2 miles up to Arizona Farms will only be 4 lane and with no median. So the town will have to maintain that. Plus, we as residents and HOA payers will have to pay to maintain the landscaping and the median.
Again, Mr. Chair, it is
So-
not relevant to discuss HOA issues at this meeting. As far as the engineering, it can't be changed on the fly with a condition. This is all done by engineering calculations that were presented and approved by the staff. So as far as lane widths that are not adjacent to the applicant's property, those are irrelevant to the applicant's application pending before you.
Mr. Mattis, is this a conversation that staff can have offline with Pulte after this resolution passes?
No, it's not something that the applicant is required to respond to.
No, I understand that. Just as an aside, once this preliminary plat is approved, can staff have a conversation, can Pulte initiate a conversation about the possibility of removing the median?
I can't speak for Pulte. I doubt it, and I can't
Okay.
speak for them. And
Thank
I can't
you.
ask you to require that either.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's try a motion again. I'll make a motion for approval. Of PZ-24-37 as noted this evening, with the conditions stipulated in the staff presentation.
As much as I hate to do this, I have to second it because it can't fail.
Okay, I've made the motion for approval, and we have a second for approval by our vice chair. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Do a roll call vote.
Okay, let's do roll call vote.
Nay.
Nate?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. Now, yes, please help us out.
Sorry to
here.
interrupt one more time. I apologize, but I just want to put in the record for the benefit of the applicant, since this has been a vote of denial, the PUD allows the applicant to then take your decision and appeal it to the town council.
Yeah, we knew that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. New business. And your audience, you're welcome to stay for the new business, but if you'd like to talk, we'd ask you to please go out.
Point of order, sir. There is a meeting going on. You need to request to speak.
And your lawyer can only do a definite maybe, because that's all lawyers do. They never can do a yes or no. Definite maybe.
This will now go before town council. Town council will have the final vote because planning and zoning has denied their request, just so homeowners know what the next step in the process is.
Okay, we're going to move on. We'll give you just a second if you'd like to find your way out so that we're not disturbed. That'd be great.
We ask you to take your discussions outside. We are still in an active meeting. Thank you. Or don't.
Give them a minute.
Okay, Maricela, we'll give you about another 20 seconds while these folks make their way out. And
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your discussions in the lobby. We're trying to conduct a public meeting here.
All right.
okay, Maricela, new business, 7A, general plan update discussion, and then we'll just go into B, neighborhood meeting notification ordinance, and C, impact fees.
All right, to begin, at the regular meeting on March 6th, the commission asked for, on a future agenda, to discuss regarding the town's general plan update. Just to kind of give a brief summary, the general plan is a broad, long-range planning policy document that serves as a blueprint for the town's future development and outlining possible goals, policies, and implementation measures for various aspects of community life. This is put in place per Arizona state statute that all municipalities have to have a general plan, or sometimes it's also called a comprehensive plan, and that must be updated or readopted or adopted every 10 years. The town of Florence currently has the 2022 general plan, and that was first started in 2020, and it was adopted by town council in 22, and it was approved by the residents by a 74.4% vote when it was put to, I believe it was a fall in the 2022 election. With that, I open the floor to discussion. I guess we weren't quite sure what the discussion was going to be on.
Okay, any more questions or concerns raised about general plan?
Nothing here, no.
I think the question that was asked was, what do we need to do to update it again? Clearly, some things were missed, so what's the process going forward?
So it just depends on what kind of things we want to change in the general plan. If they're just technical, if there are technical small errors that were happened, that's something that we can administratively update. If there are major land use changes that we want to do that may fall into a minor or a major plan, general plan amendment, depending on what it is.
Thank you.
And Mari, any changes that we make other than really minor, does it have to go back to the voters?
No, this is done through a public process that goes through Planning and Zoning Commission, Town Council. And if it's a major one, there'll probably be a neighborhood meeting that takes place as well. Something that staff is doing right now is we're looking through all of our, what we want to implement and seeing what's been done already or what's in progress. And then we plan to take that report to council in May.
Okay, so it's incumbent upon, and I'll speak for myself, if I want to see changes to the general plan or make suggestions to changes to the general plan, to get the information to you, to staff, to have my thoughts be part of that discussion.
Yes. And as a commission, if there's something that all of you agree that may be something that needs to be changed, you may direct us to ask or forward a recommendation to council that something be amended within our plan.
But we as a committee haven't, as a council, haven't looked at the general plan, so we've had no discussion as a committee to come up with any kind of suggestions that we might want to see changed.
So go ahead, I'm sorry, AJ, please.
I'm sorry. Yes, so knowing that that is the question or one of the questions, we would be more than happy to present the general plan in total. So for the benefit of the commission as well as those who are here or watching the meetings online. So we can absolutely give a full presentation of what that document says for the benefit of the group, and you may ultimately identify some things that you would like to discuss further, gaps that you may see. So we can keep this on the agenda. We could share with you the general plan document if you don't have it. And it might be a good idea to have a hard copy so you can start taking notes and really noting what you would like to think about and talk about as a group in terms of making your recommendations. In addition to that, as Mari alluded to, chapters at the conclusion of the general plan talks about implementation and then an administration of that document. As you look at the implementation chapter, some of the goals targeted in that general plan fall to the Community Development Department. However, there's a number of other goals that are stated in that general plan that fall to many other departments in the town of Florence. As Mari mentioned, we're going to be providing that report to Town Manager Walls and the administration, and we're going to be working with other departments to assist in the overall review of that document. The document calls out or suggests to staff that should be done on an annual basis, and understanding everything that was going on at the start of the year. I made the decision that we would want to provide that report in May at the end of this fiscal year, knowing that we had so much going on here at the beginning with budgeting, new members, a new council, and it's a pretty there's some significant effort that goes into providing that annual report to the leaders here in our community. So we have been working on this as a staff here for about the last month, in terms of gathering the information so that we can report out on the things that have happened to date in the community. Because again, we're going to be reporting, this first report will be reporting on a couple years of activity that may have taken place here in the implementation of that general plan.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would like a hard copy to kind of redline some of my questions, but I'd love to see a study work session with the committee, with the commission and staff to be able to talk about some of those things that we might want to see changed.
Can I make a suggestion, kind of like what we're doing with our training, rather than try to swallow the elephant in one bite? Can we do a section at a time maybe, so we can get a little bit of preview of coming attractions and have a couple of weeks to think about it, and then we can come in and talk about that section and then do section by section type of a scenario?
Absolutely. If that's the pleasure of the commission, we can put together a calendar that looks at either, looking at nights for a work session to do this piece by piece. So whatever the pleasure of the commission is.
That sound good, commission members, to do that section by section and just kind of work our way through it, give everybody a little bit of time? Okay. Good. Thank you. And who would like hard copies so they know how many to produce?
Is there not a copy on the website?
It is, but I
Yes.
can't mark up a website.
Yeah. So on the community development webpage of the Town of Florence website, it is towards the lower part, there's a blue button that says Florence General Plan, and that'll take you to a copy.
Yeah, I know, I've looked at it a few times. In fact, I was involved in many of the public meetings, asking questions and all, back in 21 and 22. We were delayed because of COVID and had to kind of put it off for a year or two.
So do you want a hard copy?
I'll take a hard copy.
Mr. Woolley?
I still got pictures.
So we're two?
I want them L size,
Three.
by the way, yeah.
So AJ, it looks like we have need for 3 hard copies up here. I already have one
4.
from.
And 2 back
And our
there.
alternates back there would like copies as well.
We will make hard copies. We'll make sure that we have plenty available. So if you even change your mind, you'll have a hard copy available.
Okay, super. Okay, 7B.
Go ahead, Andrew, take that one.
Sure. Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman, Vice Chair. We are currently drafting an ordinance for increasing the radius of notification for future projects. I believe we had mentioned that we were in the process of doing research a while back, and now we're at the stage in which we can bring you something concrete. We are aiming to bring this to the Commission likely end of April, second meeting in April. We do have to advertise for it, so we need that window of time in there. Generally, we're seeking to increase the radius for specifically larger projects. I don't have it in front of me, so I don't want to bind myself to numbers, and they may change, but something along the lines of projects that were 20 acres or greater on a piece of land that are 20 acres or greater, the radius would increase, and also for sure include the neighboring parcels. And then maintaining the 300 for smaller projects, because the 300 works pretty well on the grid system that we have down here, but then also for when you put a 300 radius in a cul-de-sac, it looks a little different. So including a piece to notify the HOAs as well within a certain radius. I believe we have a quarter mile right now. So again, don't want to bind myself to the numbers tonight, but we will have something to present to you in a future meeting.
Great. So we'll have something to chew on end of April then. Super, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, didn't we agree to 600 feet rather than 300 feet, the smaller parcels?
Slept away too many times, I don't remember.
I thought we had agreed to 600 feet rather than 300 feet, because people were not being noticed.
I think,
Or maybe we can go back through the minutes and find it where it was in the minutes.
We'll do that,
Andrew,
thank you.
As you did this process, you were also going to review some of what our neighbors do around to kind of get a feel of what our peers are doing. That would be great too, just to give us some insights.
Yes, we'll
Thank
present
you.
all that in our.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, you ready for 7C? 7C.
So on this item, I guess, to begin with, this question was raised. So are we simply looking for a general overview of what the impact fees are currently in the town of Florence, or is there more depth to what that question may have entailed?
I think I might have been the one that.
If I recall, the meeting question was, do we have them? How much were they? And are we using them and getting the money for them and following through?
And
I
when
think
was the
that's
last-
really what that question was driving.
And when was the last time it was updated?
And when was the last time it was updated?
22.
And I think my concern as well was, these are wastewater impact fees, which are pretty easy to calculate out. Some other municipalities are charging impact fees for traffic signals. As we know that when you bring a big development in, it's just not adjacent, there's traffic signals further away from you that you're impacting. Just to see maybe kind of what Andrew did for the area impact and advertising, just kind of do an overview of what our peers are doing for impact fees for traffic signals and other things of this nature, so that we don't get behind the 8 ball in collecting money for things that newcomers should be charged.
Yeah, so the town does charge impact fees for police, fire, parks, transportation. I believe we do. So I'm sorry. So those are the 4 that we do charge for. Those fees are charged when someone submits for a building permit, and those fees are collected upon the issuance of a building permit for that building. In terms of when the impact fees were last updated, I will get back to you on that. However, when the impact fees are created, they're created via a study, and it is then there's a recommendation that comes out of that study to then establish the impact fees. It takes about 9 months to create that study, and that study is ultimately acted upon by the town council, and then that impact, and then those recommendations are included into the town's fee schedule that is published currently on the website. But the one question I can't answer at this point is when the last update would have been to those different impact fees.
This says 2024,
Yeah,
so
I
that
was
may
gonna
have
say-
been the last.
This does say it was adopted in '24, so.
So the adopted fee schedule may be different than when the impact, so let me get, understanding the question, we can definitely get that information back to you.
Okay, that'd be great. Appreciate that.
There's one other item that we kind of wonder about. With these multi-family developments, is there a way that we could have those impact fees paid up in a lump sum ahead of time so we can be repairing the roads and things of that sort, along with other areas? Can that be done? I understand some municipalities do collect the impact fees up front rather than wait for each building within a development to be built.
The way I understand our fee schedule at this point is if someone were to submit for building permits or permits for site improvements, that they're charged upon the issuance of those building permits.
Awesome. Thank you. Director's report. AJ, general plan designation for Westland Village.
Yes, as we were reviewing the last minutes, there was a question raised about the general plan designation in the area around Westland Village. If you look at our general plan, I believe it's on page 25, there's a map that the general plan shows that area as town center. So that was included in the staff report, but that designation is included in the general plan on that page. And then in terms of other items related to the director's report, we have been very busy in terms of receiving final plats. Those are all under review at this point. We are soon, if not have already, no, I believe we have. We've received an application for the Dobson Farms Plan Unit Development amendment and a general plan amendment. So that is in the initial stages of moving forward with that. We're also working on a conditional use permit for Desert Rock Church, and that is currently under review, and we would expect to be presenting that to the commission here soon, likely April, Mari?
The CUP will come to the Planning and Zoning Commission in I believe it's the first week of May.
Okay.
Their neighborhood meeting, if I remember correctly, we're tentatively at April 10th. And then we're looking to go to council in the second meeting of May. So that's the tentative schedule at this time. Notifications will go out here shortly.
And we're also, thank you, Mari, and we're also working on a PUD amendment and annexation for Skyview Farm. So we are seeing some activity that will be coming to the commission here in the next month plus.
You said Skyview Farms, just to help me understand where that's at, where kind of geographically where that's at.
Skyview Farms is on the south side of Arizona Farms, east of the recently approved preliminary plat for Monarch.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. That's take care of director's report. Now it's called to the commission. Please.
All right, first one, AJ, I'd like to work on getting access to all of us getting access to the development agreements so that we're able to read them. I think that will help us moving forward if we can see some of that stuff that's already been said that we're not seeing. I think that will help us make some decisions up there. I think they can be digital, but if we can get access to them, that would be great. The second one, I just want to go on the record for a minute. This evening, our job was to approve or deny a preliminary plat. I asked 3 questions as a commissioner tonight, as my job to do that. My 3 questions were legit, they were on point, and had nothing to do with homeowners associations, okay? I voted merely this evening on a public safety concern. It has nothing to do with golf courses, pickleball courts, or anything else. We are not ready. The roadways do not support the preliminary plan that was presented. And I want my council members to hear that tonight. It's got nothing to do with amenities. I chose because of a public safety issue, okay? My third thing, and I'm a little embarrassed to even bring this up tonight, but I've lived in this town for 25 years, and I spent 14 years on planning and zoning. And I just want to remind the town staff tonight, and if you feel guilty, then you need to look at yourself. If you don't, then it probably wasn't you. We are not elected officials. We are not paid officials. We are not planners, and we are not zoners. We are volunteers. We come up here on our own time to help make the right decisions for the town council to move forward with. And moving forward, I think that the town staff needs to respect the fact that we are volunteers. Thank you.
Any other call?
Well,
Just a reminder, Third Friday is coming up on Friday.
That's right, party time.
yeah. Well, just for the benefit of our attorney, ditto what Jeff just said concerning my vote nay was based on the safety, the fact that we're under capacity and with the roads and so on. So,
Add one thing, yeah.
okay.
Third Friday tomorrow, but also on Saturday is Tiki Time Traveler at the Padilla Park. So there's all kinds of activities going on in town, and I like to support all of them. We have Road to Country Thunder coming up in a couple weeks, so we'll talk about that at the next commission meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question of Mr. Mattis. The next step is, obviously, it will go to council for council to make the decision on this. Is that something, an appeal process? Is there a formal appeal process for Pulte now to take that to council?
In this case, it's in the PUD that was adopted, the appeal process.
Okay, so it's an automatic, it will
Appeal
just
it.
automatically be on
Not to
council's
ask to
agenda?
appeal. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. And I appreciate staff when all those items that were under 7A, B, and C, just getting back to us on requests that we've made, much appreciated. And with that, it's 7:27 p.m., and we'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion for adjournment from Commissioner Woolley and a second by Commissioner Lehman. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5 ayes.